So Bill, we're at the very end of a great 2 days at truLondon again. Just wanted to get your thoughts on, you've heard so many of the sessions, so wanted to get your key takeaways and a bit of a synopsis on what's happened, what you've learned, who stood out, what are the key quotes?
I think as always, it's been really interesting. True had a whole different dynamic again. I think we had a lot of very different and new track leaders, a lot of content, hardly any talk about the tools and channels, more about what people are actually doing, more case studies, more data, like the Stack Overflow data, the role point data and white papers and discussion around that place.
Yeah, so it seems to have moved from theory to practical in a sense.
We're talking about the practical stuff,
yeah.
What's really happening, and that's exciting and driven by track leaders, and people really came to absorb what was going on, and you know, and I felt we achieved that. My thoughts are again really a continuation on the theme of actually what we're doing with technology in a lot of cases is we're automating what's already failed processes. So things that already aren't working for the candidate or whatever, we're just automating it by making it quicker and increasing it on a bigger scale and still failing it, when actually what we should be doing is changing some of the processes and really changing our thinking around why do people apply for jobs, why do people need to supply us data, why are we doing what we're doing, and why are we working so hard on talent attraction when really we should be thinking about the culture branding stuff and getting people to deselect out of the process, reducing the number of applications and not just producing pretty stuff.
It seems to be that there's not enough questions being asked from not just HR but whoever's interacting with talent acquisition, be that marketing, be that hiring managers whatsoever. How do you think we can get people to start positioning those questions inside organisations that get you to the point that you just talked about?
That gets you to the point where you change things. Like anything, it's a brave person to change something in a company. Because as long as you're following what somebody else did, it's somebody else's fault. So we need people to take responsibility a little bit. I think the more you look at the candidate experience and the more you look at what, obviously we've had the candidates winners here and that's been really interesting, really useful. I loved what RMS were doing with Plague and having a look at the game and all those kind of things. And I think the more that we can attract, what's clear in terms of candidate experiences, there's 4 things which are really relevant to it. The first one is the distance between the hiring manager and the hirer, and the hirer really impacts on candidate experience. So the further away they get, the worse it becomes. Secondly, that those companies who are providing a good candidate experience are actually driving direct sourcing and approaching people before they're going into the technology. So that they're kind of acknowledging that there is this technology problem and you only go in the ATS.
So you need the human side,
I think there is, the feedback that became very clear was from companies who said one of the real plus signs of moving away from agency recruiting was that the quality of candidate experience significantly improved when they weren't using agencies. Now it's easy to jump up and down and say, actually, I'm saying that's the agency's fault. I'm not. I think there's a bit of responsibility in it. We need to look at that process. But I think equally, companies have just been handing off to agencies and saying, right, deal with it. We're not going to give you feedback. We don't have to worry about it because they're not our candidates, they're your candidates. And
there's that trust and partnership lacking in a sense with the agency.
That I think we're moving back to a stage where we're saying, actually, those agencies we're going to use, we need to use them properly.
As true partners.
As true partners and not in the way that we've used them before. So I think that was really apparent, kind of as 3 things that have a big impact on candidate experience. And the 4th one is that all of those companies that actually won and provided good candidate experience have a measure. They measure it. They do exactly the same as customer service or any other commercial department would do, and they're applying that. So I think those things for me was a big lesson. I think technology can enable us and help us do that. So great, true, and that's really my thinking, that we need to look at the process before the technology.
Yeah.
And question, take a sledgehammer to it, and question absolutely everything that we're doing. Absolutely everything, and say, are we doing this because we always have, or because it's the best way to do it?
Yeah.
I think the answer very often is going to come back of, we do it this way because we always have.
Because we always have. It's often the case before you have a big change management project inside a company though. So
Exactly right.
So be brave.
So thanks for your sponsorship. It's been great. Thanks
Phil.
to all the film crew. Thanks everybody for watching. And we'll be back again in September.
See you again soon.
Next week, Stockholm.